Radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
All right, what's happening, everybody? A very happy Presidential Debate Thursday. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Of course, you could be listening on the FMAM dial. Of course, the Occupy Democrats Network, the Washington Press Network. You could be watching on TikTok, on Twitch, on our YouTube page at PTL Radio Show. You could be going through my website, of course, pushingthelimits.live. And we appreciate you being a part of the show today. We have a lot to talk about. We got some very special guests that are going to be jumping on here. The former Nevada Republican chair is going to be joining us here in just a few minutes, Amy Tarkanian, to kind of preview the debate. And then, two people that I have great respect for. Certainly I have great respect for Amy Tarkanian. And then a man who's moderated the last presidential debate here in Las Vegas. And he knows a thing or two about moderating debates because he's done quite a few of them. From the Nevada Independent, John Ralston will be joining us here at the bottom of the hour. Ask him what he thinks about the rules that they've implemented in this presidential debate tonight. Of course, if you haven't already heard, there's going to be no live audience. And I think that benefits Joe Biden. And, of course, the other big rule is that the microphones will be turned off. So there will not be allowed to be interruptions. I bet you there will still be attempted interruptions, but the microphone will be turned off, which is a big deal. And again, I think that's very beneficial to Joe Biden. I don't think the moderators are going to, how should I put this? I don't think the moderators are going to benefit either candidate, unlike, the rumors that you hear from the right about Jake Tapper and how biased he is and he's a Trump hater. I don't think the moderators are really going to change much of anything, and that's my personal opinion on that. I've said what I think is going to happen tonight, and we're going to want to hear from you in hour number 2. What do you think is going to happen tonight? And as I mentioned, we have some special guests, and John Ralston will be up at the bottom of the hour. But the lovely lady that we have joining us on the show right now, she is the former Nevada Republican chair. She's seen her share of plenty of debates, and I certainly wanted to get her take on what she thinks is going to happen tonight. Amy Tarkanian joining us right now on the show. Amy, always a pleasure to have you on. How are you?
I'm great. I'm actually hanging out with my family in San Diego, and I'm taking time out to chat with you, and looking forward to what you have to say about tonight as well.
Yeah, would you agree with me, Amy, that this is probably the most anticipated presidential debate of our lifetime? Do you think that's fair to say, or can you think of some others?
No, I agree with you. Actually, I would say in the past, historically, most people have already made up their minds. And if they tune in, it's just out of curiosity. But
Right.
I would say because of the term that's been deemed as double haters, such as myself, where you're disappointed with the rematch, you really do want to tune in tonight and see, is this going to be where the gentlemen actually are able to clearly state their strategy on how to continue to move our country forward? Is there going to be, just how you just mentioned, attempted over talking one another? Is it going to be chaotic, or is it going to stay organized and professional? I would like to hear, what are your plans for the economy? What are your plans for immigration? What are your plans for national security? I don't want to hear, this going back and forth of talking about each other's family members and their unfortunate situations. I don't want to hear any attacks on, any pending court cases. I don't want to hear, about revenge. I don't want to hear any of that. I want to hear, what is the plan? How are you going to make my life, my family's life, better?
I can almost guarantee you, if you do hear a lot of that stuff, 99% of it is going to come from Donald Trump. I don't believe Joe Biden is going to go low and talk about Donald Trump's family. I can almost assure you that Donald Trump is going to be talking about Hunter Biden, and he's going to be talking about the two-tier justice system and what Biden did to him in the courtroom, which obviously is not true. I guarantee you Donald Trump is going to go down that path. Before we get to specifics on what we think we're going to see tonight, I do want to ask you about Robert F. Kennedy Jr., because even though I'm not a guy that's supporting Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he's obviously been complaining about the fact that both Joe Biden and Donald Trump he used the term collusion to not allow him on the debate stage tonight. And I will say this, I am defending him here. I do think he deserves to be on the debate stage, or at least for one debate. We don't know if there's going to be another one. How do you feel about that? And do you agree with me that, yes, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. probably deserves to be on the debate stage tonight?
Yes, he does deserve to be on the debate stage, but I think both campaigns are terrified because they do see that he does pull from not one or the other. He definitely pulls from both candidates, and this is going to be a nail biter, I think, in the end. And so every vote truly is going to matter. Now, let's also point out, I think both the DCCC and the RNC have made it extremely difficult for anyone who is not of their party affiliation to participate. But there were requirements. You have to reach certain amount of threshold for polling. You have to, have raised so much money from a certain amount of donors. And if you don't meet those requirements, well, rules are rules. But are they easily attainable? No. I mean, should they be super easily attainable? I think you should probably have to prove yourself and work for it to some degree, but I think they do make it extremely difficult purposefully.
Yeah, I mean, and Robert F. Kennedy, I spoke to members of his campaign yesterday, and he's going to be doing like a live stream, and he's going to be answering questions. I didn't say this to them, but not a lot of people are going to be watching that. All their eyes are going to be glued to the television set today, Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. But I am on his side on this one. I do think that he deserves to be up there on a debate stage. All right, so let's talk a little bit about tonight. Who's it more important to? I've been saying this for months leading up to this debate, that I think tonight is a more important day for Joe Biden, because I think he's talking to people like you, quite frankly, a lot of independents, a lot of, moderate Republicans, or maybe Republicans that won't be voting for Donald Trump. I think this is a more important day for Joe Biden, and he can gain a lot more from this night if he does the job that I do believe he's going to do. Do you agree with that? And is there anything that Joe Biden can do tonight where maybe you can say to yourself, geez, I might consider voting for that guy?
It's definitely his to lose, since you could argue that they're both incumbents to some extent, right? But it's definitely his to lose because he's the current sitting president. I think I like the way that this strategy is set up for tonight. Both campaigns agreed to it. It's going to be 90 minutes long. You have 2 commercial breaks. The candidate who's not speaking will be muted. You have 2 minutes to answer the question, and then you have a 1-minute rebuttal. And I like that setup. And then there's no audience. And so, there's always some schmuck in the audience who doesn't listen to the rules and, claps when they're not supposed to clap, or maybe does a ugh or a boo or oh my gosh, the real, like, just be quiet. Let them answer the question. So I am looking forward to that setup tonight. I think it's going to benefit both individuals. Sure. It's not a lot of time to get out the entire strategy, for the world to see. But I like the fact that they minimize any kind of possible problems, I guess, if you will.
Agree 100%. And I think the microphone's turned off. They should be doing that at every single debate, no matter what debate it is, because for the most part, it benefits everybody. Now, in this situation tonight, the way Donald Trump is, of course, it benefits Joe Biden more. Biden's not really the guy that's going to interrupt Donald Trump. It's the other way around. But what do you make of the attacks on the right? They're attacking Jake Tapper. They're attacking CNN. Donald Trump's surrogates are attacking everything they can. The rules. Jake Tapper's not fair. He compared Donald Trump to Hitler. I mean, you're hearing all these excuses already. And then don't even get me started with the drug stuff, which I think is so disgusting and despicable. What do you make of all this stuff from the far right and these MAGA supporters leading up to this debate tonight?
Well, it's interesting on the double speak because, you mentioned the drug testing, and that's actually Donald Trump put that first out on Truth Social, was making sure that he is drug tested before he gets on the stage. And so he put that out there from the get-go. And then I think it was maybe, a couple days after, then he backpedaled and said, oh, I think he's going to be a formidable debater. So now he set him up for failure and set the bar low, and now he's all of a sudden switching gears. So, I think he's now realizing he needs to maybe pull back a little bit and mind his P's and Q's in case he's the one who falters, right? Yeah. So, it's unfortunate, but it is politics. We do have freedom of speech. Have the freedom to be an idiot and to say idiotic things. But it's up to people like you and I, and also themselves, to make sure that they do their research. They make sure that they're, trying to learn the issues as best possible and which candidate falls in line with their thinking. But it's both candidates, they didn't have to agree to this if they didn't want to. Right. Both candidates agreed to participating. So, if the Trump supporters want to throw shade at CNN, well, your guy agreed to it. And I think he's a big boy. He can handle it. In fact, he thrives going into the lion's den, and that's why he loves doing those rallies. He loves being able to be in front of people. He loves, and thrives off of chaos. And so, I think he's going to do just fine. Will you like the way he presents himself? Will I like the way he presents himself? I mean, we'll find out. But with Joe Biden, Joe Biden's completely opposite. He's a little bit quieter. I think he's going to have to be real careful to not allow Donald Trump to get underneath his skin like they did the first go around in 2020, where he finally was fed up and told him, shut up, man, or something along those lines, because he was done. He had it. So it's going to be a wild one.
It should be. If you're just joining us again, the former Nevada Republican Chair, Amy Tarkanian, joining us. So, Amy, unfortunately, there's a large percentage of people in this country that are not really interested in hearing about policy. There's a lot of people that are not involved in politics, especially those on the MAGA side, that just want to be entertained. They want to hear the insults. They want to hear the banter back and forth. To be honest with you, I certainly want to hear policy, but this debate's not going to change my mind. It's going to change people like you, maybe a lot, independents and moderate Republicans, as I said. So my question to you is this. If there's one thing, or maybe a couple things, that you really want to hear from Joe Biden today, I know you're not voting for Donald Trump, and I know you're undecided, but right now, but you're not voting for Trump. What do you really want to hear from Joe Biden tonight on that debate stage?
I really think that there needs to be a clear message on dealing with the economy, with inflation, and also dealing with immigration and national security. Those are the top topics that I would like to hear the plan on. And I know he's mentioned how things are, rainbows and butterflies in those areas, but it's not, because we're not feeling it. So I would just like to have the message more clear. I don't want to be told, oh, this guy's messed it up. No, this guy's messed it up. I want to know, how are we going to move forward and fix whatever guy messed it up? With immigration, for example, we had a bipartisan plan in the Senate, and then we hear that Donald Trump is the one behind the scenes telling everyone, not to pass it because he didn't want Biden to have a win. I mean, that's unacceptable. So now that we know that, what's the next plan? I would like to know, what is the next plan? I don't want to just hear pointing fingers. I'm dealing with the economy. I have 4 kids. I have 3 of them that are in college. Inflation is still, skyrocketing, even though they're claiming it's coming down. You can't even go to a fast food restaurant without spending, $30-40 for 2 people. And that's crazy. Most people just, they can't function like this anymore. And so I would like to hear more about those issues. Once again, and it sounds selfish, but I think our voters need to become selfish, where, how is it going to make my life better? How am I going to be able to put food on the table for my kids and be okay?
And, I think at Camp David, I'm sure that his advisors and those that are helping him have put a lot of that in his ear. This is why, and now let's go to what we think is going to happen tonight. Here's what I think is going to happen. Joe Biden's going to be well prepared. He's a seasoned politician, whether people like that or not. He's been doing this a very long time. He's run for office over a dozen times. He's used to this type of thing. I think he's going to do just fine. He's going to use what he has up here, and he's prepared, obviously. I believe he'll be very prepared. We're going to see the exact same Donald Trump. It's going to be less about policy. I think it's going to be more about insults and lies and saying things that are not true and the personal attacks. Why do I think that? Well, just look at the way Donald Trump has behaved over the last couple of weeks. He's been playing golf every day. I mean, I don't think this guy is capable of preparing for anything. I think we're going to see the same Donald Trump. Now, I think the key to this debate is how does Joe Biden respond to that? I think, again, the fact that, and the reason why I feel confident that Biden's going to do well, there's no live crowd. There's no chance for anybody to interrupt. If Donald Trump wants to interrupt, his microphone is going to be turned off. Now, whether Joe Biden's going to be able to hear that or not, and whether that'll throw him off or not, I don't know. We'll have to find out. But the American people aren't going to be able to hear Donald Trump because his microphone is going to be turned off. I think Joe Biden's going to do just fine. Am I saying he's going to wipe the floor clean with Trump? Probably not. But I think he's going to do just fine, just like he did in the State of the Union. I think he's going to do just fine. Then what's going to happen? Right-wing media. What drugs was he on? What did they shoot him up with?
Yeah.
You're going to hear the same stuff you heard after the State of the Union, where Republicans will fail to admit that Joe Biden did a good job. The Democrats will be happy, and it'll be the same hurling insults from Donald Trump. That's exactly what I think is going to happen tonight. And I could be wrong, but that's what I see happening.
No, and that's a pretty good guess. And I think too, the fact that, putting it out there on Truth Social, questioning if he's going to be on drugs or not, is totally unnecessary and disrespectful. And I think if the two campaigns wanted to actually go that route, then they should have just discussed that between themselves, and maybe both gentlemen have some kind of health examination before they approach, the podiums. But throwing it out there like that is meant purposefully to throw gasoline onto the situation. And so, even though their mics are going to be muted, their body language is still going to be out there.
Absolutely.
And that's an area where Donald Trump struggles as well. He does not hide the way he thinks very well at all. So I'm sure we'll see a lot of eye rolling. We'll see, a lot of like him looking around or him doing a death stare as President Biden is speaking. That's what I imagine happening. And President Biden probably sitting there smiling. But once again, he's got to keep his composure while Trump's doing the death stare, because it's going to be important that we see who's going to be a strong leader, but who's also going to be a statesman.
Agree with everything you said, and I've asked you this before, but what does it say about those on the extreme right of your party when you have elected officials that are making the claim, and Mike Johnson was asked about this yesterday on CNN, making the claim that Joe Biden's on cocaine? I mean, this isn't just, right-wing idiots.
He said that on CNN?
No, he didn't say that. He was asked about it. And he kind of was very cavalier about it, because there are elected officials several that have made the claim that he might be on cocaine. And when Mike Johnson was asked about that, he said, well, those are just in-jest comments. No, they're not. They're despicable comments. They're comments, calls himself a wonderful Christian man, right? A wholesome man of God. And he says, well, those comments are just in jest. That's not an answer. He's a coward. Why can't somebody in the Republican Party just say that's unacceptable? Those comments should never be made. You have Donald Trump's own doctor, right? Dr. Jackson, or as he likes to call him, Dr. Johnson, who made that same claim. I mean, it's just, to me, it's so despicable. Where did we get in this country? I never heard this before, a debate where people say he's going to be on drugs. I mean, it's so despicable, in my opinion.
Well, all they're trying to do is undermine what we're about to witness, right? So they're setting themselves up, whether if President Biden does an exceptional job or if he proves himself to do better than most anticipated. They just want something, anything, to throw more, fuel on the fire, so people will, think twice about even looking at him, even if he does perform well. That's all that is. And it's very unprofessional. It's very, demeaning, and it's intentional.
It is intentional. You're 100% right. My last question for you will be this. Is there anything that Joe Biden can say? You know what I'm going to ask. Is there anything Joe Biden can say? Is there anything Joe Biden can do tonight or Donald Trump can do that can not change your mind and vote for Donald Trump? Because I think we all know that's not going to happen. But even you could see the debate tonight where you can consider, and maybe other like-minded Republicans like yourself that are fair, moderate, good Republicans that I consider you as, that you could say, gosh, I'm going to have to consider voting for Joe Biden. Not even that you're going to vote for him, but geez, I might consider it after this performance tonight. Is there any scenario where that could take place?
I don't know, Brian. We'll have to wait and see and have this discussion tomorrow.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll ask you tomorrow, Amy. I appreciate that's fair. I appreciate your honesty, Amy, and always appreciate it when you take the time to come on. It's going to be an interesting night of politics, the Super Bowl of politics today, so to speak, and always appreciate you coming on, Amy. Thank you so much for your time, as always, and I know you got a lot of other interviews you're doing, so we'll let you go, but I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate you for having me. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Amy. Appreciate that. That's the former Nevada Republican chair, Amy Tarkanian. And, there's a reason why I ask her that question, right? Because Amy used to be a Trumper. She used to be the Republican chair of the entire state. Amy Tarkanian was a staunch Donald Trump supporter. Now, Amy has not said to this day that she will vote for Joe Biden, but she said on the record she will not be voting for Donald Trump. I think this night is not important for staunch Democrats. It's not important for MAGA Republicans. It's important for people like Amy. It's important for independents that still might be on the fence. There's a lot of people in this country that I've been talking to. They're not voting for Donald Trump. But they haven't said, at least publicly, that they're going to be voting for Joe Biden. This night, I really, truly believe can change that. This night is important for those people that are really in the middle. Now, there's a lot of independents that will be voting for Joe Biden. I know that for a fact. I'm one of them. It's an anti-Donald Trump vote. But I truly believe that this night is more important for Joe Biden than Donald Trump. And I don't think we can underplay the importance of what we're going to watch tonight. This is a very important night and will have large ramifications, I think. I personally believe on the results come November. I've told you what I think. In hour number 2, we're going to take your phone calls here. But I really wanted to dissect this guy's brain, and he's going to be joining us here in a few minutes. The last presidential debate that was held here in Las Vegas, this man was one of the moderators, right? He's from the Nevada Independent, and his name is John Ralston, and I really have a ton of respect for him, and he's going to be joining us next. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to take a quick break, and coming up next, I'm going to ask John, if he was the moderator, how would you handle this debate? He's done presidential debates before. I'm going to ask him what he thinks about the rules, right? Because this is very unique and different. I can't remember a presidential debate where they turned microphones off when the other person was speaking. I don't think they've ever done this before, so I certainly want to ask him about that and the fact that there's no live audience. How does he think that benefits, if at all, either of the candidates? So we'll certainly be talking to John about that. It's a big night, ladies and gentlemen. It's the first presidential debate here in 2024. It could be the last. We don't know if there's going to be another one. But this is a big one, ladies and gentlemen, and it's happening live tonight. And as I said before, and I'll say again, it could have big ramifications on who wins in November. And I think it's probably going to be the most watched debate, the highest rated debate, for lack of a better term, in the history of this country. I do think tonight will be that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and before we do so, I want to tell you guys about my good friends at Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Every Tuesday, you show your TAM card, you get $50 in free slot play. But the good news is today is Thursday. So if you miss Tuesday, if you've been playing those slot machines, you have a chance to win a free gas card, a $100 gas card. They're giving away 15 of them today. The more slot machines you play, the more points you earn, the better chance you have of winning. Jackson's Bar and Grill. I was out there playing yesterday. Great food, great atmosphere, great bartenders. And it's just a fun place, man. And there's so many old school Las Vegas people, local celebrities that you see in there at any given time, besides myself, of course. But no, in all seriousness, they are great out there. Please check them out. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. That place was hopping when I was out there. You had to go on a waiting list just to get a slot machine. So it's a popular bar, and so glad that they're the official gaming bar here of Pushing the Limits radio show. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with John Ralston coming up next. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey culminates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com and get started.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840. All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a presidential debate Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. And what is really, let's call it for what it is, the Super Bowl of politics, right? I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. This is probably the most anticipated presidential debate of my lifetime. I'm certainly looking forward to it. I'm definitely excited about it, and we're just going to have to wait and see how this all plays out. I've told you how I think it's going to play out, but now I want to talk to a man. Last time there was a presidential debate here in Las Vegas, he was one of the moderators. He knows a thing or two about moderating debates. He's been involved in this for a very, very long time. In fact, I wish he was one of the moderators tonight, I'll be honest with you. Jake Tapper will do fine, I'm sure. But he is from the Nevada Independent, and it's a pleasure having John Ralston joining us on what is a very busy political news day. John, I appreciate you coming on and taking the time, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you, Brian?
I am doing okay, John. I guess my first question for you would be, what do you think about the new rules? You've moderated plenty of debates in your lifetime. What do you think about the microphones being turned off so nobody can interrupt? What do you think about no live audience, John? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've long been an advocate for no live audience in debates, Brian, even though we've had to have live audiences in a few of ours at the Indy, only because we need to make money off of them too. But that's a little bit different. They're very disruptive during presidential debates, and Trump especially feeds off of that, and it changes the entire tenor of the debate, as we saw when Caitlin Collins had to deal with all that nonsense at that so-called town hall. I actually think cutting off the mics is a very bad idea. I don't see why the public shouldn't hear someone if they can't control themselves and are interrupting the other candidate. How does the other candidate deal with that? The other candidates could be able to hear him anyhow. Is going to have to deal with it. Why shouldn't the audience on TV know what that person is trying to say? Because you might not be able to hear it. You may be able to hear some of it because it's going to be off the microphone and might be picked up by another. But I think that's an extreme step. I wouldn't have done it.
Interesting. I haven't heard anybody say that before, and it certainly makes some sense what you're saying. But I think at this point, I think you would agree with me. If people don't know who Donald Trump is by now, they never will. But at the same time, I also get your point as well. If somebody made the argument to you that, well, wait a second, you want more substance in this debate, and if there's arguments going on, then they're going to have less time to answer questions. What would you say to that?
Well, that's up to the moderators. And when I've done debates, when I used to have a TV show, or even now when we do them for the Indy, I don't like having any rules at all, essentially. I think hard and fast response times and those kinds of things. You want them to go back and forth. That's what happened when we had Joe Lombardo and Steve Sisolak do a debate at our event in 2022. To some extent, it's what happened when we did a mayoral forum for the Las Vegas race this cycle, and we're going to do another one as well. But the moderator's role should be to make sure that the debate stays on track. And if someone's getting off track, they shouldn't be afraid to call them out.
I agree with you. What do you make of the attacks on Jake Tapper, who I think is a really good journalist and does a really good job? What do you make of the attacks from the MAGA Republicans out there that are saying that Joe Biden is drugged or he's going to be drugged and that CNN's going to be unfair? Because I've said from the beginning, well, Trump didn't have to agree to this. He agreed to all the rules. He agreed to doing this debate. But there's so many attacks on the right to CNN and Jake Tapper. What do you make of all that?
Well, the drug test thing that Trump and his enablers are putting out there is absolutely outrageous and pathetic, but it's so typical of the coarseness of the dialogue from that side. Of course, they're going to come after the moderators. Trump did agree to it, though, as you mentioned. He knew who the moderators were going to be. This kind of thing frustrates me, and I finally did a thread yesterday on this, Brian, where I know Jake Tapper, I know Dana Bash. They are quality journalists. They do what all quality journalists do, which is try to be fair to both sides, to call out both sides. It's not their fault that Trump is a pathological liar and needs to be called out more often. It is a trick, a rhetorical trick of Trump and others to say that if you do that, you are anti-Trump. And so they use that phrase and they get the faithful to say, oh, these guys are anti-Trump. Jake Tapper is a phenomenal journalist. Dana Bash is a phenomenal journalist. They're even putting out this thing about how Jake Tapper compared Trump to Hitler. But that's not true even.
Not true at all. I talked about this yesterday, John. You're 100% right. Go ahead. Yep.
All he did was use the analogy of what Hitler talked about with Jews poisoning the blood of the Aryan nation to what Trump has said. It echoes that language. That's a fact. That's all he did. But again, this is all designed for one purpose and one purpose only, Brian, and that's to do pre-spin so their post-spin makes sense. If it doesn't go well for Trump, well, look, we told you beforehand.
There you go.
Jake Tapper and Dana Bash are biased. Of
Bingo.
course it didn't go well. But, see,
Yep.
I've had this feeling, and I'm sorry if I'm leading you astray here. I've had
No, it's okay.
coffee today, Brian. But the bottom line here is that I always thought Obama should go on Fox News more.
Agree.
Why? I mean, if you can't, Bill O'Reilly is more skillful than Sean Hannity, who's just an RNC mouthpiece and a sensationalist. But if you can't hold your own with people you consider hostile, you shouldn't be running for the office.
I can't even begin to tell you, John, how many times I've said that on this show. I criticized Hillary Clinton when she was running for office. She should have done the opposition. I'm going to criticize Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, who, by the way, as you know, is going to be in Las Vegas tomorrow. I agree with you 100%. I think they should go on, and I criticize some of the MAGA Republicans who still do not want to do this show. I could not agree with you more. I think the best thing that they could do is, it's going to be a rough interview. If you go on Fox News, they're going to attack you. There could be personal attacks. But if you can't handle that, how can you be the president of the United States or the vice president or whoever you are? I completely agree with you on that one. And, I gave the analogy because we were just talking about the things that MAGA Republicans are saying about Joe Biden, that are, the drugs, or it's going to be unfair. I compare it to Donald Trump talking about how the 2020 election was rigged, or this election in November could be rigged, or 2016 was going to be rigged. He's setting up his supporters in case he loses to come up with an excuse. He and his surrogates are coming up with excuses. So in case this debate doesn't go well for Donald Trump, they'll be able to say it was unfair. Do you kind of agree with that analogy a little bit?
I agree with what you're saying. I think there's a huge difference in proportionality in trying to undermine democracy and trying to spin for your guy for a debate, but it's the same principle. You're absolutely right. Trump was saying the election was going to be rigged well before the election. And then when he lost, he was able to say, look, I was right. The election was rigged. He's going to do the same thing in 2024. Our job as journalists is to not listen to that. And if it gets loud, to try to debunk it, right? You shouldn't just give in to that kind of spin.
Yeah, I agree with you. Again, if you're just talking, or I should say joining us, the Nevada Independent's very own John Ralston. So, John, I want to ask you this because you could kind of get in the mind of what the moderators are going to be going through. Not many people on the planet get the opportunity that you've had, and I'm sure you'll probably have an opportunity again when there is another presidential debate here, to be a moderator with millions and millions of people watching. What were you going through that day? Because you're obviously very good at what you do, but I would imagine you had to have a few butterflies, right? You had to be a little nervous. So many people in the country are watching, and you're right there on the stage about to ask these candidates questions. What were you going through that day? And maybe you can get us into the minds of what these moderators are going through today.
Well, it seems like a long time ago now, Brian, but of course I was a little bit nervous, even though I had been on TV for 15 years and I was used to being on TV. It's a much bigger stage, much bigger stakes. And I knew I wouldn't have much time because the national folks who were on that panel were going to get more time. But I was determined to make sure that some Nevada specific questions were asked in Nevada. And I listen, I enjoyed it, but it was, and what people don't understand about this, or maybe they do, Brian, maybe I'm underestimating people, is the immense amount of preparation that goes in if you're going to doing this, if you are going to do it correctly. It's very, very labor intensive. There was a lot of preparation that was done by everyone for that presidential debate. And I was in on all of those prep sessions. Whenever I do debates, I do a ton of preparation. I guarantee that Jake Tapper and Dana Bash are doing a lot of preparation. Sure. But here's the thing that's difficult about debates. You have to also prepare for the unpredictable. Something unpredictable is going to happen with these two candidates tonight, especially Trump, right? You just don't know what's going to happen with Trump, what he might say. Yeah. But and you talked about the how important this debate is, and most consequential one of your lifetime. You're very young, so I have no doubt that that's true. A lot of people are saying it's the most consequential one since Nixon Kennedy, which is right after I was born. So not so people can go to their calculators now and figure out just how old I am. But I can't think of any debate where both campaigns have to be so, despite their bluster on both sides, so worried about how their guy is going to do. Is Joe Biden going to seem very old? Will he have a senior moment? Will he not be able to do what he did in the State of the Union when he had a teleprompter and came across very forceful? Can he, as some have said he does in private, come across as very forceful and on the ball? Or is he going to have a senior moment or just not be able to last for 90 minutes? I think the Biden campaign has to be petrified of that.
I think they, sure.
Trump's people have to just be absolutely petrified as well that he's going to say something really crazy, that he might even drop an F-bomb or do something that is going to be really, really detrimental to his campaign. I don't think this is the earliest debate that we've ever had in the presidential race. Even though there's a lot of time to use the parlance of how campaigns speak, get well after any gaffes because it's so long before the election. This could change the tenor of the race.
Agree. So let me ask you a couple questions about that. I've said for the last several weeks that this debate is probably a little bit more important for Joe Biden than Donald Trump. Why? You know, the staunch MAGA supporters are going to vote for Trump no matter what. You know, the staunch Democrats are going to be voting for Joe Biden no matter what. We're talking about independents, right? We're talking about moderate Republicans. I just had Amy Tarkanian on. She said publicly she's not voting for Donald Trump. She's not ready yet to say she's voting for Joe Biden. I think this debate is more important for Joe Biden to prove to some of those American people that he's competent for the job and he's ready for another 4 years. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I think if Biden does that in this debate, it's going to be a huge deal because Trump is going to say some crazy stuff. I don't care if his campaign has convinced him all you have to do is talk about immigration and inflation and the economy and you'll be fine. He won't be able to do that. And you can be sure that some of the questions are going to set him off and that some of the things Biden might say. So if Biden were able to just hold his own, look like he's vibrant, and not look like he's a tired old man who shouldn't be running again, that's a huge win for them, especially because if you look at all the models, and Nate Silver put out one this week, the election right now tilts toward Trump in the 6 or 7 most important states. They don't like that narrative, the Biden campaign. They need to try to turn that around. This would be a huge step in that direction. But there's a huge if. I mean, it's very possible that something very bad could go wrong for Joe Biden as well.
Sure.
These are two guys, both around 80 years old. They're not in the prime of their lives, and so they could easily make mistakes. And so very different kinds of mistakes, I think, Brian, that could cost them. But so both campaigns have to be super worried. Usually, one of these debates, one campaign sees it as a huge opportunity, and the other is just wants to do steady as you go because they're ahead in the race. But they're not this. I don't think there's this kind of fretting going on for this one that has happened in the past. I just don't think so.
I agree, John. Before I let you go, I do want to get your thoughts on this. What do you make of that fake electorate scheme thrown out of the courts, at least here in Clark County? What do you make of that? A jurisdictional issue, I guess, if for lack of a better term. What do you make of that, and were you surprised?
I wasn't that surprised, Brian. I always thought that filing this in Clark County depends how you look at it, a gamble by the Attorney General or a very, very big misstep. It looks terrible for him, but that's only on the surface, and that's only now. Nothing on the substance of the case was decided, although it appears that the statute of limitations is now gone on one of the charges, and they're only going to be able to refile on another, and they'll have to refile up in northern Nevada. The conventional wisdom is Ford did that down here because there's more of a Democratic electorate. But I have to tell you, even if they are acquitted, and they all have very, very good criminal lawyers, people need to remember that what they did was to try to corrupt democracy, to try to undermine the public's faith in what was going on. And even though people say, don't call them fake electors, they were alternate electors. That wasn't what was done in Nevada. They claimed to be the actual electors. They tried to deceive the public. They were asked to do this by the Trump campaign. And this, despite what any of the people on the Republican National Committee, one of whom has been indicted and the other is, unhinged, Sigal Chattah, saying that they were doing their civic duty. That's the spin now, Brian. was an outrageous act that should not go unpunished. Whether it's criminal or not, I'm not a lawyer. I used to play one on TV, but I'm still not a lawyer.
Yep.
I don't know the answer. I don't think that's the main issue. Main issue is what they did was wrong. They should never be invited back into polite society without a get on the ground and beg for forgiveness, apology for what they did.
Everything you just said, I could also, and I agree with that. You could also use to describe Donald Trump, an element possible of criminality, trying to hide things from the American people, deceive the American people. And this is just, in my opinion, a microcosm of Donald Trump ever since he got into office. I love the Nevada Independent. I love what you guys do over there, John. You know that. Can you please give out the information to my listeners? How can people donate? You're obviously funded by the public. How can people get involved and read your articles and so many of the great journalists that work for the Nevada Independent?
Thanks for that opportunity. Thanks, as always, for your kind words.
Of course.
Brian, the NevadaIndependent.com. We're a 501c3. We are a reader and foundation supported. You can deduct the contribution from your taxes. Just give us a small donation, a recurring monthly donation, $5, $10, $25 a month, whatever you can afford. Every little bit helps.
Absolutely, and you guys deserve it. John, I can't wait to be watching you on Twitter today and getting your thoughts on this debate in real time. Are you going to be doing some live tweeting tonight?
I plan to. We'll see.
Great. I love it.
My wife may try to tear the laptop away from me, but I plan.
Well, I love your commentary, and you're always so honest, and I love what you do, John. Thank you so much for the time on what is a very busy day. I appreciate you, and look forward to having you on again soon. Okay, my man. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate you. That's John Ralston, everybody. Back-to-back guests that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. Obviously, I have a ton of respect for John and the Nevada Independent. I think they're great. And I really love what they do. Same thing with Amy Tarkanian. Don't always agree with her politically, but I think she's a very nice lady, very well respected among normal people in this state. And when anybody can admit that, I probably shouldn't have supported Donald Trump. I don't support him now. I have a great amount of respect for people. I mean, I make mistakes every day, and I seem to apologize to people every day. So I love Amy. I love John Ralston. Quite frankly, I wish both of them would run for office because I'd be the first person at the voter booth to vote for either of them. John's a great journalist. Can you imagine what that must be like? Can you imagine to be in John's shoes, to be a moderator in a presidential debate? Can you imagine Dana Bash and Jake Tapper? I mean, they're both very good at what they do. I think they're very good journalists. I kind of lean more towards Jake Tapper, but they're both very good at what they do. I mean, the nerves have to be there, right? It doesn't matter whether we're talking about sports. Like even Tiger Woods said when he got on that first tee in a major, he was always nervous. He was shaking. He was always nervous. Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, the best in any sport, Wayne Gretzky. They talked about the nerves, but you have to turn those nerves into positives, right? And I think Dana Bash and Jake Tapper will do just fine. It also helps when you have some written out questions and all you have to do is read too. It's they're not really necessarily ad-libbing either. But I will take some phone calls now, and we will take some phone calls in hour number 2. Number to call is 702-221-7283. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. What do I want to hear from you? Why do I want to hear from you? What do you want to see in this debate? What do you think is going to happen? What do you think about the rules? Are you excited? Maybe some people are not excited for this debate. I want to hear from you. Doesn't matter whether you're a Trump supporter. Doesn't matter whether you're a Biden supporter. Can something happen tonight that can change your mind? If you're on the fence, can something happen tonight that could change your mind? I think that's a fair question to ask because I think that's what's most important about this debate. Not the staunch MAGA Republicans, not the staunch Democrats, people in the middle, people that are on the fence. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, 702-221-7283. Why don't we start off with, let's see, we got a few people that are waiting on hold right now. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. I'm going to say the first person that we're going to go to right now is Al. Who are we going to? Antonio. I apologize. Let's go to Antonio first. Hi, Antonio.
Hi. How are you doing today, Brian?
Hey, doing good, Antonio. What's on your mind?
I don't believe that Amy is going to vote for anything other than Donald Trump.
No, she's not. She's not.
And I find it a little bit not necessarily disrespectful, but I have a really hard time finding any respect for her or any Republican that just won't come out and say it at this point.
Okay, but hold on. Let me push back on a little bit of what you just said. I know Amy very well.
Sure.
I can tell you 150% she's not voting for Donald Trump. She hasn't said she hasn't said she's going to vote for Joe Biden, okay? But I can tell you right now she's 100% not voting for Donald Trump. I know that for a fact.
I would just want to wait and see on that. Because I know you guys are close friends, and I like what she says most of the time, but I don't know, man. I'll have to wait and see.
Okay, so let me ask you another question.
Sure.
Why do you not have respect for her? Explain that one to me.
Well, just in that viewpoint of her claiming that she is not voting for Donald Trump, but will defend him in almost every scenario.
I have to respectfully disagree with you. I understand why you would feel that way about a lot of Republicans, and I'm with you on that. Amy's not one of those people. I mean, she always calls out his behavior these days, and she's suffered because of it. I mean, she's pretty much been ostracized from the Republican Party, at least here in the state of Nevada. And again, Antonio, you're entitled to your opinions. I would just respectfully disagree with you. And I would say we should hold our anger towards those MAGA Republicans that lie every day. The MAGA Republicans in office that are claiming that Joe Biden's going to be juiced up. The MAGA Republicans that claim the 2020 election was stolen. The MAGA Republicans that attack our judges, attack our justice system, attack our jurors. You know, I mean, we're not going to agree with everything that Amy says.
Yeah.
But she's I believe, at least in my opinion, a nice, honest, respected lady who's not going to be voting for Donald Trump. And I think you have to take the win on that if you're anti-Donald Trump, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that is true. I see where you're coming from, where every vote that isn't for Trump is a good vote.
Right. Exactly. Before I let you go, what are your thoughts on the debate tonight? What do you think is going to take place?
I think it's going to be interesting. I actually I like the fact that the mics are going to be muted, although I think we've seen how close the two podiums are on a debate stage. I think we are still going to pick up some quips from the other people occasionally.
Yep.
I do wish RFK Jr. was on the stage, although I don't agree with 90% of the things he talks about. I do wish that he still had a voice. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of things are going to be reassured that everybody has been not seeing in the mainstream media that Donald Trump cannot form a complete sentence. And we're gonna see that.
I think you're probably right. You never know what's going to happen tonight, but that's why we're all going to be watching, Antonio, and I do appreciate your call, sir. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, man.
Thank
Keep
you.
up the good work.
Thank you. Appreciate you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Al. Al is next up on PTL. Hey, Al, what's going on, man? What's on your mind?
My call.
Yeah, sure.
So, first of all, what I wanted to say is that this is not the most important debate that I've seen for sure. And I don't think it's a very important. I'm a Republican. I'm a staunch Republican. I'm voting for Trump. I'm not big on Trump, but I'm going to vote for Trump. And the thing is, the biggest debate was Reagan-Carter.
Yeah,
Reagan-Carter, I lived that, and that was an incredible. Everybody couldn't wait to see that. I saw that. It was very entertaining. It was very informative. And reason that I'm going to say something that you're not, go ahead, I'll let you say, because I'm going to say something that probably won't fit well with what you, we're still friends. I still respect you.
That's okay. I don't take phone calls so that everybody can agree with me on everything. You know that. Before you continue, I just want to say this. You might be right. I didn't watch that debate. I wasn't around. I didn't watch that debate. But I will say this. Here's the reason why, Al, I say it may be the biggest one in my lifetime, because there's so many more people involved in politics today than there were back then. You know, there's more people involved. There's going to be more people watching. I think we're more, certainly probably, and you could tell me if you disagree, more divided now politically than we were back then. I'm not discounting the fact what you're saying. I'm sure that was a huge debate. It was highly anticipated. I get all that. I'm just saying I just feel like today there's more people involved and more younger people involved in politics, and that's why I say it. But I understand your point as well.
Well, just briefly, because I do want to say something that, you're probably going to disagree strongly with. But I do agree that it's probably within your lifetime the largest, the biggest debate. Okay. And I don't think that there's that many people involved, as many more involved as they are concerned as the path that our country was going to take. Right after Carter, we still had hostages in Iran.
Yeah.
And we knew that this guy was going to, if we let this guy stay, Carter, this thing was going to be a disaster. I mean, this guy was really taking us down.
No, I hear you.
The wrong path.
I have to ask you this though. I mean, is there anything that can happen tonight that can change your mind and not even vote?
Absolutely not.
Nothing.
Absolutely not.
Nothing can happen.
And let me tell you, and this is what I want to tell you, and now this is where, we're going to disagree strongly with. There is nothing that Joe Biden can do that is going to put this country on the right path. Number one, we have to close the border. Number two, we need energy independence, and we have to stop funding these terrorist countries that are taking oil profits and turning it into terrorism instead of improving the conditions in their country.
Okay, let's do one thing at a time.
Okay,
let's do one thing at a time.
Okay.
You're obviously concerned about the border. I think most Americans are. Then why did Donald Trump pick up the phone when they had this border bill in place? It wasn't perfect, but you had a bunch of MAGA Republicans that were saying, okay, we're not getting everything we want, but it's a good start. And then Donald Trump, with his little fingers, picks up the phone and tells them not to vote for it.
I have an answer for that. Okay, my answer for that is they proposed the same question to Steve Garvey, who was running for Congress in California. And his response, that's my response. You don't need 600 pages to go over there and fund a lot of money to Ukraine to close the border when all he had to do was just take one sheet of paper and say, I'm closing the border.
But Donald Trump never closed the border when he was president for 4 years. Trump never closed the border. No, he didn't.
He was a letter. Yes, he did. Well, no, you think that the border was, do you think that Biden is doing a better job with the border?
Well, hold on. That's not what I said. What I said was Donald Trump did not close the border. You're asking Joe Biden to do something that Donald Trump didn't do.
Well, I'm saying, then I'll rephrase that. I'm saying that he could have done exactly what, at least brought it to what Trump is doing and saying, hey, you know what, I can do exactly what Trump, I got other things that
MAGA Republicans. Okay, but here's where we disagree. MAGA Republicans, and I call them MAGA Republicans because many of them that helped put this bill together with Democrats, they put the bill together. Everybody that worked at the border that I've heard on the news has said, listen, it might not be perfect, but it would bring more people to the border, more money allocation, and it would help. And Donald Trump picks up the phone. He calls Mike Johnson, and he says, don't vote for this bill unless it's perfect. You know what that means to me, Al?
Exactly.
You know what that means to me, Al? Don't vote for the bill because it'll make Joe Biden look good, and I care more about my political power and getting back into office than I do about the border. And then what did those MAGA Republicans do?
No, that's fine. And that's the way you look at it. And the way I look at it is that Biden could have just said, you know what, I'm going to do exactly what Trump did, and I can see that I can do just as well, and we're going to move on and do some other stuff. So he could have got Congress and Trump out of the equation.
All right. I mean, that's your take on it. But as I said before, and I'll say again, I truly believe that this debate is important, maybe not for people like you. Maybe.
It's important. It's important. But for me, I totally agree it's important for a lot of people. But for me, I'm an Eisenhower Republican, 64. I became a Republican when what's his name, Nixon was in charge, and during his first administration.
Right.
And I understand. When Nixon got thrown out, I didn't change my Republican conservative values. I stuck with the ideal values of my party.
I understand that, Al, and I know that I'm not going to change your mind. I understand.
Right. But I'm just saying that for me, it's just for me. As a Republican with that kind of a history, it's just obvious there's nothing that Biden can do to put this country back on the right path. Trump is not perfect. I totally agree with you. He's not perfect, but you know what? Even though with all his imperfections, I think he's still more perfect than Joe Biden, which a guy who's been in office for so many years.
Well, I can tell you one thing. Joe Biden's not a convicted felon. He's not a liable rapist. Joe Biden is not somebody who is attacking our democracy, and if he loses in November, he will concede. I believe Donald Trump is a threat to our democracy. Donald Trump spent $8 trillion when he was president. I thought conservatives were those about fiscal responsibility.
You know what? That's one of my biggest problems with.
Don't you think that's kind of important?
I don't really think
that's not our country going in the right direction.
I think that he has to not spend as much money. But,
yeah, you
maybe
think?
we needed to do that to protect us. I don't know. But
all right.
Yeah,
Oh, well, hey.
I agree with you on that point.
All right. Fair enough, Al. I appreciate your call as always. I appreciate your opinions. Thank you so much. I disagree with you, but I appreciate you calling in. All right. So here's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we've got the big man, Paul Mokeski, joining us. He's become very politically savvy. He's going to be joining us next segment, get his thoughts on the debate tonight, and maybe talk some hoops later on. But those of you that are waiting on hold right now, please sit tight. I promise I'll get to you on the other side of the break in 2 minutes. One phone line open, 702-221-7283. Give us a call. Check out my website, by the way, pushingthelimits.live. And you definitely want to be on Twitter today because I'm going to be live tweeting during the debate. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey accumulates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com and get started.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part, every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a presidential debate Thursday, a very anticipated, highly anticipated debate tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Please check out my friends at Jackson's Bar and Grill. They are located at Flamingo and Jones. Every Tuesday, show your TAM card. You get $50 in free slot play. Today's gas day, every Thursday. And you're going to get a $100 free gas card if you're lucky enough. We're giving away 15 of them every Thursday. Joining us in studio right now, the man who you see doing a little bit of the fake drums. What would you call it? The air drums, the air guitars. Yeah. Mr. Paul Mokeski, the 12-year NBA veteran, and he's become, ever since he met me, he's become very politically savvy.
My wife is still debating that immensely. What the
Well, I'm glad you're here, Big Mo. Are you excited about the debate tonight? Will you be watching the debate?
So excited that I won't be watching it.
Why not?
Because I'm going to, with my kids, and do some trivia stuff, but I'll tape it. And
that
I'll
sounds
rewatch
horrible. Trivia stuff.
Yes.
That sounds terrible.
Well, worse than watching two old men yell at each other? Really? I could go to the golf course with you in here.
Fair point. That's a fair point. But obviously,
I mean, I will be. I will play it back, and I will, watch it because, like you said, I heard you on this first hour. It's important. Usually, if you did a debate this soon, everybody will forget, right? But in this instant, with the kind of candidates we have and the situation in America today, I don't think they will forget. I think, the little tidbits they're going to pick up are going to carry over all the way into November.
I tend to agree with you. We'll see if the callers agree with you on that one, but I do. That's what's most important, right?
I think Julia will agree with me for sure.
She's waiting on hold. We'll get to her.
Good. She agrees with me a lot.
Should we get to her first? She's waiting on hold. She's been waiting very patiently. All right, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Julie first. Big Mo says let's go to Julie. Hello, Julie.
Hello, Brian. What we don't talk about, when was the last time that Kamala Harris and Biden visited the border?
Why is a photo op important to you?
Is that Biden is not the leader of this country?
Why is a photo op important to you? That's my question.
What photo op?
Would you also like to see Joe Biden hold a Bible upside down in front of a church that doesn't want him there? Is that important to you as well?
Why are you deflecting and not answering?
I'm not deflecting at all. If you actually listen to what I'm saying, it is a photo op.
Your guy said that we didn't have a crisis at the border, and then he admitted later.
So what will that accomplish if he goes to the border and he walks around the border? What will that accomplish?
At least to pay attention to what's going on in this country.
So you care. Okay, so you care about the president going to places in this country where there's a crisis. Julie, I'm asking you a question. Julie, I'm asking you a question.
Robert Kennedy visited the border, but you guys.
Julie, can I ask you a question?
The border.
Okay. First of all, you characterize him as my guy. I'm an anti-Donald Trump voter, so you're wrong there, and that's number one. So now let me ask you a question. So you're sounding to me, and you correct me if you're wrong, like you care about a president of the United States not staying home but going out to all the crises that are facing us. Is that, because I'm going to ask you a follow-up question, but is that a fair statement to make, Julie? About
the leader of this country should follow up.
Well,
okay, so
can I answer? Can I say something?
Yeah, I just want to say there's a reason why I asked that. Julie, hold on.
He never went to Ohio. He for Biden, it's more important Ukraine in the Middle East.
So Julie, does it bother you that Donald Trump has played more golf than any other president in our lifetime?
I don't care.
You don't,
I don't care.
So you don't care about
For
that,
Biden,
but you just want Biden to go ahead, Mo.
Spending my time.
Go ahead, Mo.
Well, first off, and Julie, I would rather have our president of the United States, rather than just go down to the border. He's been there. He's seen it. He knows the problems. It needs to be fixed. It needs to be worked on. There was a bill that was presented that would actually help that. Wouldn't end everything and solve anything, but it would help. And then Trump made the phone call and, nixed all that deal. I would rather have our president going to places like Israel or like where he went to the summit, the Peace Talk Summit and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And still working on our border is very, very important. But you don't have to be there to work on it. You have to be in the White House, be out there working on it with other people that you have hired to help work that. So you don't have to be, like Brian said, you don't have to have a photo op of you standing by the wall to say, I'm concerned with the border.
But I do find it interesting that Julie doesn't care all of a sudden if Donald Trump plays golf every day. That's totally okay to her, but she wants Joe Biden at the border. Absolutely ridiculous. Thank you, Julie, for the phone call. Another wonderful point you made. 702-221-7283. Mo, that's called sarcasm.
Well,
that's called sarcasm.
I was trying to start that phone conversation with Julie, like, we can agree on something that this debate is important, but it didn't go.
No, I can't. Valiant effort, Mo. Valiant effort. Let's go. Let's go to Elizabeth. Elizabeth is next up on PTL. What's up, Elizabeth? Where are you calling from?
Well, I am calling from remotest Michigan, northern Michigan, on Lake Huron.
Cool.
I'm looking at the beautiful lake right now.
Very nice. Well, thank you for calling in. What's on your mind?
Well, a caller a couple of calls ago talked about Carter and Reagan. And I wanted to remind everybody, a point of history, that recently it came out that Reagan sent Bill Casey, who was an OSS spy master for the Allies during World War II, to set up a covert operation to keep the hostages in Iran rather than released. He was trying to derail Carter's October surprise, which was nearly successful and might have given Carter the win. In hindsight, we know that two presidents did this. Nixon did exactly the same with Vietnam.
Right, but Al was I hear what you're saying. Al was trying to say that was maybe a more important debate. My point that I'm trying to make is, and I think we'll agree on this, is that this is probably the most anticipated debate and the most people that are going to be watching because there's so many more people involved in politics today. That was my point that I was making.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
The thing is, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes.
Right.
The same way,
sure.
Today.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we do. If you listen to everything that Donald Trump says, I mean, Biden's going to be on he's going to be on cocaine. He's going to be coked out. He's going to be getting a shot in the ass.
Hey,
yeah.
And I heard people tell me that the Boston Celtics won the championship this year because their whole coaching staff
was juiced,
and all their coaches and all their players were on drugs. That's what I heard. Some people told me that.
You might be right on that one. I don't know. I mean, Tatum did look like he had a lot of energy.
It's so silly.
Yeah,
that is so. And really, I'm old. I'm 67 years old, and but to make that claim against the president of the United States is so appalling to me. With no facts, you just throw it out there and see if it sticks on the wall. That's so.
And the idiots believe it, Mo.
It's so sad to me that our country has come to this.
And the MAGA morons believe it when they hear Dr. What do you want to call him, Johnson or Jackson, whatever Trump is calling him these days, making that claim. And you go on Fox News and you see Bartarola or whatever the hell her name is, asking guest questions. Do you think they're checking his doses at Camp David? What kind of fools are you? First of all, why would you even watch that crap? And you're getting paid to talk like that?
Second of all, have you ever seen Trump drink water? He can't hold a water bottle with one hand. He has to have two hands and is shaking the whole time. So let's not go there, please.
It's absurd. I agree. Thank you for the call, Elizabeth. Appreciate you out there in Michigan. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Beverly. Beverly is next up on PTL. Hi, Beverly. Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm calling from Mississippi.
All right.
How are you?
I'm doing good, Beverly. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
I'm calling because I wish that I could ask those who are helping President Biden to remind the people in the debate that the former president was the one who created the havoc with COVID by not telling the truth. He admitted that to Bob Woodward when Woodward was writing a book about him, that he didn't tell the truth because he thought it was going to help him win the election. The other thing is that when it comes to the crisis at the border, I don't know how people don't realize that most of their ancestors came here looking for a better life. They just didn't have to cross the land like these people are doing today.
Right.
And it really bothers me to hear Mexicans and people of color defend Donald Trump because he does not care about them. He doesn't care about anybody but himself.
Agree.
When you look at him, his demeanor is, it's all about me and what I want. And whoever is going to support me, that's who I'm gonna go with. Yeah. And if they turn against him, then he's going to throw them under the bus. Yeah. When he says that he is going to be a dictator, he doesn't use the word dictator. But when he says he's going to do this only on day one, don't believe him. Most of the words that come out of his mouth are lies. Mm-hmm. He just thinks that he can get away with it with those who don't want to open up their eyes and see what is actually going on. Yeah. When it comes to inflation is partly caused because of COVID. Many businesses lost money. Many businesses can't get people working for them. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the supply chain, you have trucking companies that have gone out of business. You have all kinds of things that are caused because of COVID.
Yeah.
People refuse to listen.
That's true.
He is responsible for the many lives that were lost in COVID. He should be held accountable for that.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling to me that, and I agree with you so much, that people that he has nothing in common with will never help lower middle class, people of color. He's never going to help those people. Why would you support him? All he's going to help, and he's told you this, is the top 1%. Those are his buddies.
Thank you.
That's what he's been forever. He's been given millions of dollars by his daddy, and he's thrown most of that away.
What do you guys think about this? Did you see that whole barbershop phone call yesterday where Byron Donalds is there? And you have a voter who actually asked a good question, even though I might disagree with his politics. He asked the president of the United States, how are we going to help all the black people in this country that are struggling? I'm paraphrasing, but that was sort of the question. Trump not only doesn't answer the question, he says he has all this black support. He has all this black support, and it's incredible because of his mugshot. How insulting to black people across the country. I can't believe he even said that yesterday.
Well, how is I talked about the president of the United States. They're accusing of doing drugs. That's blasphemy if no proof.
Yeah.
And now, when you look at his rallies or whatever you want to call them, people behind him are holding up a mugshot of the former president. That's like, who does that?
Well, these people are so stupid, by the way, these people are so stupid when they hold up the mugshot and they say, "Don't surrender," when it's literally a picture of Donald Trump surrendering. How stupid are you people? Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What's really funny and really sad is that Donald Trump, has employed people of color, Mexicans, all of those. When he did those raids, did anybody ask him, did you raid your hotels and remove the Mexicans that were working for you?
Yeah, that's true.
All of the farmers who need Mexican people working for them, why aren't they standing up and saying, we need these people coming across the border?
Agree.
Fix it so they can get here.
Agree.
Instead of saying Mexico is going to build the walls. No, Mexico said they weren't going to build the wall.
No, they didn't
spend
spend
one. They weren't going to pay for the wall.
They didn't pay $1 for the wall, dear. You're 100% right. Great phone call. I appreciate you.
He was actually sued for discrimination of blacks in his housing complexes and his apartments.
Yeah.
I mean, how clear can that be?
Thousands of civil lawsuits. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Adam. Hi, Adam. Thanks for calling in. Adam, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Texas, sir. Thank you so much for taking my call. I appreciate it. Forgive me, I'm not used to calling in shows, so I don't know if I'll be as eloquent as possible.
Don't worry about it. You're doing fine.
But I do have an interesting question, and this is in all honesty. So I know how you are very one side of the spectrum.
I disagree.
You don't have any middle of the road.
I disagree.
But yet you keep talking about how you want to change culture, you want to change ideas, you want to push people over to your side.
What are you talking about? Hold on, Adam. I'm going to stop you now.
Please allow me to continue, because you always do this. You always bully people.
I'm not bullying you. You just said things that are not true about me, so now I'm going to correct you, and then I'm going to let you finish.
It's
okay,
called
Adam?
fact-checking.
Okay? I'm going to fact-check what you just said. Number one.
Okay,
I've been a registered independent my whole life. Number two, I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. Number three, I didn't vote for Barack Obama. I supported John McCain and Mitt Romney. Number four, I'm for border security. I'm for capital punishment. I am anti-Donald Trump, and there's nobody that I'm trying to get on my side. I share my opinions. I'm not here to change any people's minds. You're 100% incorrect, with all due respect, sir, and I'm not bullying you. You started this conversation by saying something about me that is not true. I am a registered independent who voted for 8 Republicans in the 2022 midterms. You just don't like the fact that I'm anti-Donald Trump.
When you talk, wouldn't you agree that what is the purpose of your show?
What is the purpose? The purpose of my show is so I'm going to answer, sir. I'm going to answer. No. I'm going to answer your question. The purpose of my show is so that I can get people from Texas calling in, misrepresenting everything that I've said on the show. That's the purpose of the show. Now, obviously, I'm being facetious.
You haven't even let me talk.
You said something about me to start.
You asked him a question. He was going to answer.
You just asked me a question. You said something to start the call that is not correct. Now, what did I say that would lead you to believe that I'm trying to get people on my side or I'm a big lefty? Go ahead.
So let me ask you the question. Then what is the purpose of your call? Your show. What is the purpose of your call?
Sure.
What is the intent to do?
Sure. So here's something that I do that nobody else hardly in the country does in radio. First of all, 99% of the country that's talk radio is conservative. I am not. Number two, I like to interview people that I disagree with. Name me a conservative talk show host that interviews liberals every single day. I like to interview people that I disagree with on policy a lot and have good conversation. Number three, I'm the only show in the country, quite frankly, that will do politics, sports, entertainment. I try to, do it all in one show. And I am not biased, and I'm not afraid to debate people. I will debate people every single day that I disagree with. In fact, I would rather do that than talk to people that I agree with. The purpose of the show, to inform and to entertain and to talk about serious topics and serious issues and give other people a voice. Now, did I answer your question, sir, or do you disagree with that too?
Well, I'll be real honest with you. You are very abrasive. You're very punitive. That's your prerogative.
Can I ask you a question then? Okay, so you don't like abrasiveness. I call it honesty and passion, but that's okay.
I never said I didn't like abrasiveness. I never said I didn't like abrasiveness. It's just simply for the fact that whenever you want to hear somebody other's position, correct? You want to hear someone else's take, correct, on why they feel the way that they feel. Because ultimately, isn't that what we really want to do? Is we want to understand why people behave the way they do, why people feel the way that they do? So wouldn't you say that that's a large portion of what, if you're talking about a cultural shift, you're talking about changing people. Now, you said you're not trying to change people's mind. That's fine. I understand that. So you're saying that you're only doing your show for one cross-section of the population, right? The people that agree with you.
What are you talking about? Hold on.
Said the opposite thing.
What is wrong with you? Okay, with all due respect, I just told you that I like interviewing people that I disagree with. What are you talking about?
Anybody talk.
I did a 45. Maybe I'm not letting you talk because you sound like a clown. Okay, I had Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on the show. I interviewed him for 45 minutes. I had one of Donald Trump's surrogates on. I let her talk because even though I disagreed with her last week, one of Donald Trump's surrogates on. I had Larry Elder on for an hour. I have people on my show that I disagree with all the time. You haven't made one logical point in this entire phone call. Get off my show and have a nice day, you clown. You've just wasted my airtime, you bozo. You right-wing buffoon, you.
I need a 20 second. Give me a 20 second.
What a jackass.
I mean, I don't understand, like he seemed like a logical guy, right? But then he comes on and he pretty much says a mouthful of lies. Then when you try to correct him, then he takes offense to that. Then you let him ask you a question, and you answer it in a way that answers his question, but then he comes back with the same thing that you just answered. Like you don't listen to other people, and you.
I guarantee you that's the guy who voted for Governor Abbott in Texas. I guarantee you that's the guy who pleasures himself to his Ted Cruz poster every night before he goes to sleep. Give me a break. I don't like it. You're abrasive. Well, dummy, then don't call into this show and misrepresent me and who I am. I lean to the left on social issues. I'm very anti-Donald Trump and unapologetic for it, okay? But I don't belong to the Democrat Party. No, but I don't belong really to. I'm an independent thinker.
It's like I'm sorry, I'm going off. It's like you asking me. Yeah. You played basketball in the '80s, and you played for the. And I say, yeah, I played for the Milwaukee.
You played basketball? I didn't know.
Yeah, I played for the Milwaukee Bucks. And then you ask me, you never played for the Milwaukee Bucks? I mean, it makes no sense to me. It's not facts.
The guy just, I'd love to know the shows that guy listens to. I guarantee you he watches Newsmax and OAN, but he'll never call into a conservative show. What's the point of your show? Are you trying to get people to your side? And I do find it interesting when I answer his question and I'm honest with him. Okay, that's fine, but blah, 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 blah. And then he just moves on to something else.
You just had, if he was even listening, you just had Amy Tarkanian, a Republican, the head of the Republican Party here in Nevada.
Used to be the Nevada state chair of the Republican Party.
You just had her on for 20 or 30 minutes. That's exactly what he said.
I had Trump's campaign manager on last week for 20 minutes. What the hell? All right, let's not waste any more time with that right-wing buffoon. As my shirt says, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Christina. Hi, Christina. Thanks for calling in.
Get those on www.brianshapiro.com.
Pushingthelimits.live. Get it right. Hi, Christina. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Pennsylvania.
All right. Pennsylvania. I love it. East Coast people. What's going on today? What's on your mind?
I just don't understand why I cannot have a normal conversation with a Republican regarding Trump and his actions.
Did you just hear the last call? That's why it's crazy. I agree.
I had to put a cough drop in. I was laughing so hard.
Well, it's hard. It's hard, Christina. It's hard.
I don't understand what it's going to take for people to actually look with their eyes.
Yeah.
And see what's going on in this country.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy, Christine, too, is I know a lot of those, and some of them are really logical, nice people.
Yeah.
But you can't talk to them. I don't understand.
Let me give a positive to Christina, though. Hey, I like your Governor Shapiro, not just because of his last name. You got a good governor out there.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah. Now, I am a registered Democrat. Don't hold that against me.
The last caller might, yeah.
Yeah, well, but I'm an independent thinker.
Mm-hmm.
I just like to decide who will be on the Democratic ticket as much as possible. But if I don't agree with that person, I will cross party lines.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
You know what I mean? So I just don't. I'm not one of those people that just click Democrat all the way down.
Well, you're not a cultist. You're not a cultist, right? That's why I call these people, they're part of the cult. That with the Trump shoes. Did you see what Lauren Boebert, that despicable human being, she was on a stage yesterday wearing knockoff Donald Trump gold sneakers. Mo, do you want to take her to the Beetlejuice play? I bet you you'll have a good time with her.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and then she's bragging to everybody about how she won because she had to go to another district to win. And I just, listen, there is a portion of the Republican Party, the MAGA base, they are what Hillary Clinton called, and I agree with her, deplorables. These are deplorable people. Do I think every Republican is like that? Absolutely not. There are good Republicans out there. But you look at the faces of the Republican Party today, they are despicable, deplorable human beings.
I just hope everybody gets out there to vote to actually make a difference.
Yes.
And to not let us experience 4 more years.
I agree. I agree with you 100%. A little trivia in Pennsylvania, not that anybody would care. My favorite band is from York, Pennsylvania. Can you name what that band might be? An alternative rock band from the late 80s, early 90s.
Oh, my goodness, no.
Live, the band Live. That's my favorite band growing up. I wanted to throw that one in there. I love Pennsylvania. Philadelphia is a great city. And get out there and vote. I love what you're saying. I love your message. And I think there's too many people like you out there. There's too many people like myself, like Mo, that are not going to be voting for Cheeto Jesus. And tonight's an important night. Let's not make any mistake about it, right? Tonight's a very important night, probably more so for Joe Biden. I think he's going to do just fine. I appreciate you calling in out there from Pennsylvania, and you call back anytime. Okay, dear? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, one thing she said that's scary, though, that's a little, we can't put up with 4 more years of what Trump might do and what might happen. The problem is, in my opinion, it won't be just 4 years. He said that.
He's not going to leave.
He's not going
No.
to leave. Why
No.
do I have to have just 2? Why can't I have 3, 4? He wants it to be a Putin where he's just reelected theoretically every year. And whoever wants to see what the country could be like in about 5 years, go watch the movie Civil War.
I haven't seen it yet. You keep telling me to. I've got to see that movie, Civil War.
It's not. It doesn't pick who's who or what's what, but it tells you exactly what could happen in 5 years from now, and it's frightening.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the opposite, right? Donald Trump won't leave the White House, and Melania Trump won't go anywhere where her husband is. Husband, I put those in quotation marks. Where's Melania, by the way? 702-221-7283. One phone line open. Let's go to Eric. Hi, Eric. Where are you calling from today?
Hey, how you doing? I'm calling from Philadelphia.
All right, Eric from Philadelphia. What's up, my man?
Yeah, I follow you on Twitter. That's how I found out about this show. I just want to make 2 points about MAGA.
Sure.
They're so reactionary that they can't see the forest for the trees. The right-wing talking heads have been saying for months, Biden has dementia, Biden has dementia. Now they're saying he's going to be on drugs that are going to fix his dementia. And people are going around repeating that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, apparently there's a dementia drug that fixes dementia, and
there's not.
No one's like,
you could be a billionaire.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Why? Like a pharmaceutical company is sitting on a drug that cures dementia. Millions of people should be like, we need this, but they're so worried about Biden.
Listen,
being
Eric,
anti-
you make a great point there. These are the same kinds of people. Do you remember when the vaccines came out and they said they were putting chips in your body to know where you know? You can't reason with these idiots. Okay, that's what they are. They're idiots. They're very stupid people that show up with their Trump shoes and their Trump Bibles. They're uneducated people, usually white people, and they show up with their GEDs, the Lauren Boeberts of the world. They're very brainwashed. They watch their Newsmax every day. They believe every single word that Cheeto Jesus says, and they don't care that he's a sexual abuser. They don't care that he's a 34-count felon. They want to focus on Hunter Biden's penis. They want to attack transgenders. I had a debate or argument. It wasn't even a debate with some fool on social media yesterday. He kept talking about our children are being indoctrinated. Doesn't have any kids. Doesn't have any evidence, just anecdotal evidence, and he's attacking all these teachers for saying that they're making 8-year-old children gay. How do you have a logical conversation with somebody like that? These people are just stupid people. I don't know what else to say.
Well, I've been just one last thing.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone about this because for years the right wing has said black people are paranoid. The justice system isn't treating you wrong. You just do crime. And if you're being sentenced for something, you probably did it. Now that Donald Trump has been arrested and indicted, they're saying black people can relate to it because the justice system has been so wrongly treating them.
Yeah.
So they're admitting that the justice system has been screwed up all this time. So, which one is it? Is the justice system good? Or is it bad?
Well,
it's only bad when your guy is getting arrested.
Yeah, well, if you ask Donald Trump, he'll say he has so much black support because he is a criminal, which is so insulting.
No, we don't.
So insulting to black people across the country. It's such an insulting statement. It's just incredible.
He's
to
a
me.
criminal with the best lawyers that money
Shoes
can
and
buy.
sneakers.
Correct.
We don't care about that. He's bringing up all these D-list local rappers.
That's another thing.
that I don't care
yeah,
about.
you can so relate to black people by selling a pair of ugly gold sneakers for $750. Oh, I got to vote for that guy. I mean, really. I mean, come on, man. How insulting. Thank you so much for the phone call. I'm glad you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Thank
you.
you.
Take care. Be well.
Thank you. I'm glad we have people like you out there. Thank you.
Hey, Brian, along that line, like he was saying, like these people don't even know. Like now, I forgot what state it is, but now they want the 10 Commandments in every classroom.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Which the 10 Commandments is good, but that doesn't mean you have to have separation of
church and state.
Church and state. But then when they go out and ask the Trumpers what are the 10 Commandments, they can only name like 3.
Right.
And the problem is because the other 7,
are the ones that he broke.
Trump has broke them. You know, do not covet thy neighbor's wife.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Thou shalt not steal.
Yeah, exactly.
You're absolutely right. It is so bat you know what crazy. It's insane. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Why don't we go to Tim? Tim is next up on PT. Hello, Tim. Where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from Chicago.
All right. Love Chicago. What's on your mind, my friend?
Great city, great city. Hey, I was raised Democrat my whole entire life, steel mill family. We've been union all of our lives. I mean, we've been voting Democrats since the day they were born, you know. But I just have a big problem voting for Biden. I mean, truthfully, I know what the latest news says. Oh, he's just great. He's doing great. But the guy has lost his mind. He's not doing anything good for the country. And I intend on voting for Trump this time. The second thing is that I see the big trial, and everybody's saying he's all convicted and now he's criminal and all this stuff. But honestly, I don't see like it was a real trial. And as soon as it goes before a higher court, they're just going to throw it out. So how are we going to rejoice?
So let's dissect
that.
Let's have a conversation about this. Let's try to dissect it, Tim. And I appreciate you calling in with a different point of view. So when you say Joe Biden did nothing for the country, the Chips and Science Act, capping insulin at $30 for the elderly. Do you think those are bad things, or giving our brave men and women in uniform the health care that they need, the bill that he put forth with Jon Stewart, having the lowest unemployment rate in 50 years before COVID even started, manufacturing jobs through the roof, NASDAQ through the roof, comparing this country to other countries that we compare ourselves to when it comes to inflation and the economy? We're doing much better than those other countries. I mean, I understand if you don't like Joe Biden, and I'm willing to hear you out, but you don't think he did anything good for the country at all?
Helping relieve student debt loan to help young people survive in the world. I have two sons that are 30 and 34, and they have a lot of a loan debt that they've been paying off. But to get some relief from that is a good thing, no?
Well, I'd like to respond to it.
Sure.
First of all, I spent a lot of money going to college, and I took every dollar I could make to pay my own way. And it's just like the illegals coming into our country. There's people that do it the right way, the fair way. They come and wait in line, and they spend years to get in. Well, now you have people that are going to college, and they're getting their college paid for, which I don't think is really right. I think the people who are taxpayers are paying that bill when I had to actually go make money myself and work two jobs to get through college.
All right, so let's talk about that. So because you suffered, and you want everybody else to
I
suffer.
didn't suffer.
Okay,
no, I didn't suffer at all.
Okay. Well, you struggled financially a little bit, and you paid your bills. So because you struggled a little financially, you want everybody else to struggle. That's exactly what you're saying. What would you say about the PPE? What would you say about the PPE loans that all these Republicans took to save their businesses, and they don't have to pay those back, but yet they're the ones that are. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I think they shouldn't have never give $1 to anybody over the whole entire thing.
Okay, so they're hypocrites then, because a lot of the lawmakers that are against student loan debt forgiveness are the same Republicans that took PPE loans. So you're calling those Republicans hypocrites. Let me ask you a question. Forget about the criminality of Donald Trump. We'll agree to disagree on that.
Calm down for a second.
Okay,
I didn't get a chance.
Okay, well, listen, we have a lot.
Out there pretty far.
We have a lot of people on hold. I'm trying to get through this phone call to you, and I do want to ask you a question. I'm calm. I'm happy to have this conversation with you. Forget about the criminality of Donald Trump. We will probably agree to disagree on that. He's a 34-count felon. You can disagree and think it was unfair. What about the behavior? What about the behavior of Donald Trump attacking our military, suckers and losers, saying, I don't respect John McCain because he was captured? What about the 30-plus women that have accused Donald Trump of sexual assault or rape, a proven liable sexual abuser? What about having sex with a porn star unprotected 2 weeks after Barron was born? Forget about criminality.
Saying Biden is on drugs and probably cocaine, even though there's no proof.
What do you think about the behavior, sir? Forget about the criminality.
And if you give me a chance to respond, I'd love to. First of all, I think it's political 90%, just like the same thing with attacking Biden. I don't think, and a matter of fact, I think that.
What do you mean it's political? When you say you don't respect John McCain because he was captured, you think that's political?
I'll explain it. I'll explain it to you. The thing that I think also that Trump should do the first thing when he is reelected is he ought to pardon Hunter Biden. That would be a great sign.
Okay, but let's forget about that.
To answer your question.
He shouldn't pardon him if he's guilty. No, he shouldn't.
I don't think anybody should be pardoned if they're guilty, but that's here nor there. I don't respect John McCain because he was...
I believe it's political as well. I believe they're attacking him the same way that they're attacking Trump. Now, when you're looking through the eyes of someone who doesn't claim to be a Republican or a Democrat either way, I just look at the facts. I'm looking at the whole thing saying, wait a minute, we could pull out different ways of looking at every one of those situations you said and say, oh, yeah,
let's talk about that.
Trump did that.
Let's talk about that.
Which one would you like to start with?
Let's talk about that.
How about grabbing women?
Okay, hold on. You said you're a man of facts and you're not a Republican or a Democrat. Who won the 2020 election?
I still believe Trump did.
Okay, well, have a nice day, sir, because you're not, with all due respect, you are the opposite of fact when you answer the question that way. I can't have a conversation with you, and I can't take anything you said in that phone call seriously when you think that Donald Trump won the 2020 election and you're trying to preach me and Mo that you're a man of facts. Get the hell out of here, man. Come on, we can disagree and have respectful conversations, but I'm not going to have a conversation with you when you preach to me about, I'm all about facts. Really, who won the 2020 election? I think Trump did. Get the heck out of here with that nonsense.
Plus, he can't answer about actions and words. Like, to say Biden is on drugs, that's with no facts, that's like atrocious when you're supposedly a president. And I don't understand how.
Well, here's a very.
Let me ask you this too. You had that. You asked some people today. Is there anything that anybody could say in the debate today that would change your mind one way or the other? And most people said no.
Right.
So my question is to MAGA people or Trumpers: if Trump tonight said, "Listen, if I'm elected president, I should have total control on everything, immunity on everything, and if I wanted to kill the people that are voting against me, I should be able to do that, and it should be legal."
Yeah.
Would that affect their vote?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how to answer that. But you know what, Mo, the most poignant part of that conversation, in my opinion, besides him saying that he thinks Trump won, which is idiotic, I asked him about the comments that Donald Trump made about John McCain. This is like a litmus test for Republicans. And instead of saying what any decent, normal, average IQ person would say is, yeah, that was a terrible thing to say, he says it's politics. No, it's not, sir. When you attack somebody for being captured as a POW, by the way, Trump dodged the military himself, and you mock somebody for being captured, that's not politics. John McCain didn't do it when he ran. Mitt Romney didn't do it. Joe Biden didn't do it. Okay? That's not politics. You know what politics should look like, sir? When John McCain took that microphone and he said, "No, ma'am, Obama's a decent man and a decent family man, and we just disagree on politics." That's what politics should look like. But you seem to have no problem, and you just make the excuse, it's just politics, when somebody goes after a POW because they were captured, or somebody attacks women on looks, or somebody calls them suckers and losers, or says these Mexicans, they're bad people, they're rapists. And I suppose some of them are good people on both sides. That's not politics, sir. That's bigotry. And people like you use your religion, too, as an excuse, right? You probably think that Gay Pride Month is the worst thing in the world, and transgenders are, the sky is falling. And then when people question you on that, you hide behind your religion because you're a coward. 702.
Here's the difference, and we talk about this a lot. So a logical person, even if they like Trump, would say, you know what? He shouldn't have said that. That's wrong, and he was wrong saying it. And he should probably apologize. That's what a logical person, but a person in a cult would say, well, it was just politics, or he was just, kidding, or just leave, go into some other deflection. That's what someone in a cult would do. Someone with logic would say, he should have never said that. Obviously, he shouldn't have said that. I don't know why he said that.
Of course not. But here's the thing, Mo, right? They use it as an excuse. Oh, it was just politics, okay? Yeah, I'm an independent thinker. Yeah, because there are plenty of independent thinkers out there that are fair, that think that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. Get the F out of here, man. Give me a break. You're not an independent. You're a right-wing goon is what you are. That's brainwashed. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, 702.
I think the Bucks won the championship this year.
yeah, right.
I really do.
It was rigged.
It was.
702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Armando. Armando is next up on PTL. Hi, Armando. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Las Vegas. I have you're a fun station, PTL. I mean, it's really cool. And let me see this. We have two people in the debate. I guess we could define them as being senile. And how do they?
I don't know if I would do
campaign, that. How does the campaign manage that?
I don't know if I'd characterize both of them as senile, and I'm not trying to defend Donald Trump. They're both old. They're both not maybe as sharp as they were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Like most of us.
Yeah, but I'm not a doctor, and I guess I don't like to characterize them as Alzheimer's or senile or this or that like some others do. They're both old. Would we like to see younger people in office? Absolutely. But I'm not going to sit here and say Joe Biden's senile or Donald Trump's senile. They have gaffes. They make mistakes. They're old. And I try to leave it at that.
But anyway, look, you get preparations, right, for the debate. The difference is, how do they prepare? I think in what's his name, Biden, he's at Camp David.
Correct.
And they probably think maybe there's memory issues.
Well, Trump's been preparing by playing golf. We know that for sure. And I think Joe Biden's taking it a little bit more seriously than Donald Trump is.
Trump thinks he's still going against Obama, by the way.
Yeah, I think he does, actually.
Well, Trump is preparing by playing golf.
Right. Cheating on the golf course.
Eating buckets of chicken.
Yeah, but hey, here's what we do know. Armando, and they're both going to be, as you said, they're both going to be on a debate stage tonight. We're going to see how this thing plays out.
Here's the deal. And he's at Camp David, and he's under the supervision of a dietitian.
Nobody knows that.
A dietitian.
What? Who told you that?
I'm making it up.
All right. Well, I appreciate the call, Armando. You're entitled to your opinions. I think Donald Trump might be banging porn stars. I could say he's banging porn stars without a condom.
I mean, listen.
We don't know. I mean, come on.
Listen. I played in the NBA for 12 years. I prepared the best I could physically and mentally to play every year, get ready for training camp every year. And if I was, even now, I'm 67, my body is broken. If I was preparing to go on stage for 90 minutes and stand, it would be difficult for me. So what I would be doing is hiring someone to stretch me, get me stronger, do my core work. And at the same time, I would be preparing mentally and answering all the questions we think they're going to come up with and all the answers that we know is the truth. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
That's logical.
Yeah, I think Donald Trump is preparing by playing golf and eating KFC. That's probably what he's doing. I don't think there'll be any stretching
That's
going
called
on there.
ego. That's called, I don't have to prepare. That's why, I'm sorry, but that's why he never learned how to read off a teleprompter, which is so important if you're a speaker or anything like that. He never bothered to learn that. That's why he's so horrible at it.
Yeah.
That's why he goes off track all the time and drives his people crazy. I mean,
I think he's going to do that tonight, by the way.
Yeah, and that's why he never went to the meetings he's supposed to have an hour meeting, a breakdown from all his generals or whoever and all what's going on in the world. He never went to that. That's why he went on stage and said, I think we can drink this, or I think light will cure COVID, and I think it'll be over, because he didn't go into the meeting for an hour and talk to the actual doctors.
Such a good point. He didn't get the classified meetings. He didn't go to many of those, they said. He's got the attention of a 2-year-old. And you're absolutely right. He didn't do his research. He never knows usually what he's talking about. He has no understanding of history, and that's why I think Joe Biden needs to hit him hard there. Talk about history. Talk about the history of this country. Donald Trump, although he does say his favorite book is the Bible, even though he can't read one passage from the Bible, can't memorize. I would ask Joe Biden, I would tell Joe Biden, hey, Donnie, you said, I'd call him Donnie or a convicted felon. Hey, Donnie, you said your favorite book is the Bible. Can you please recite one verse in the Bible? I'm a Catholic.
Or the 10 Commandments?
Yeah. Thou shall not put on 10 layers of orange makeup, which I'm sure he'll be peppered on him. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Roy. Roy, thanks. What's going on, Roy? Thanks for calling in.
Hi, Brian. Hi, Paul. How you doing?
Good. I'm doing good.
First, there's a strong rumor that Tapper and Bash are going to be replaced by Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen.
Hey, I would totally go for
rigged.
that. I would totally be okay with that, by the way.
I'd fly out there and watch it live.
As would I. Yeah, that'd be great.
But I think that two things I wanted to mention. One, I think today's internet, the social media, has made Donald Trump, this possibility even existing, because it allowed all these stupid people a voice.
Yeah.
And I think that's a real big problem with what's happening. And if I were Biden, I don't know if you knew today, that Supreme Court case in Idaho?
Yes.
The Supreme Court, they basically threw it back to the lower courts, which means that if somebody has a medical emergency, they can go into an emergency room and get treated. Well, I think what's very unfortunate today is that the Republican Party, led by Donald Trump, is forcing women and men to some degree to decide, where do I want to live? Where should I live? Where is it safe for me to live? Where is it safe for me to go to school? Yep. If I was a student athlete, I'd be very careful whether I go to Alabama University of Pennsylvania. It just makes an enormous difference today.
Yeah.
And that's
sure.
unfortunate. And I think Biden should be hammering that abortion issue over and over and over because Trump cannot defend it in any way.
I haven't brought that up in this show. And Roy, thank you, by the way, for the phone call. I appreciate you. I haven't brought that up yet today, and Roy makes a good point. Abortion is the number 2 issue on most people's minds in this country. Number 1, the economy, abortion right behind it at number 2. Joe Biden, this is such a win for Democrats and such a losing cause for Republicans. Why? Well, first of all, over 60% of the country believe in a woman's right to choose. Number 2, the reason why Roe versus Wade was overturned was because of Donald Trump, because of who he appointed on the Supreme Court. You look at what happened, and then he says, leave it up to the states. The cop-out, right? We saw what happened in Arizona. We saw what happened in Alabama. Joe Biden needs to hit that home. They are for a woman's right to choose with their health. And
he needs to ask him straight up. What do you believe?
Yeah.
Now, on one hand, you're bragging that you broke down Roe versus Wade. You did it.
Right.
You claim that on TV. I did that.
Right.
Then the next day you're saying, well, we're going to leave it to the states and they'll figure it out. Pick one. And actually, where do you stand? Mr. Trump, where do you stand on it? Do you believe that the woman has the rights over her body or not?
Yeah.
And please answer that. He won't answer it, but that's the question I would ask him.
I agree. He won't. So we only have a couple minutes left here. And
Let's go another hour.
I wish we did. A story that mixes both basketball and I guess politics. Number 1, what do you make of the J.J. Redick hire in L.A.? And number 2, did you hear the story of this black woman who's claiming that her days at Duke, that J.J. Redick called her the N-word? Now, he's denied that. What do you make of this story?
Well, as far as hiring J.J. Redick, at some point the Lakers are, they couldn't get the UConn coach to come.
Right.
And they put all their eggs in a basket. Now you're out there looking for a coach. The draft is coming up. And, I think he was the next logical. Well, he never coached before. Neither did Steve Kerr. Neither did Steve Nash. Neither did Doc Rivers. So there's a plethora of people that have done it well and not so well. So that's a moot point. His relationship with LeBron James is supposedly really strong. And this time in the basketball world, you have to have a good relationship with your best player. And if you do, it helps everything along the way. So I think it was a decent hire for the Lakers at this point, given their options. The second question, how long ago did he go to Duke? Like 10, 15 years? 20?
Longer. I think it was over 20 years ago.
I don't know. So, it's interesting that it comes out at this time. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if I've been called the N-word before when I was coaching, which is kind of, it threw me off. I've never used the N-word, but, that to me, you can throw out whatever claims you want, but you got to have proof then. And obviously, I don't think there's proof. I don't think they taped it.
I think this is problematic. We're not talking about a sexual assault here. We're talking about a horrible slur that she alleges was used. Why didn't she tell anybody?
Yeah.
Why didn't she tell the university? Why didn't she tell anybody on the basketball program?
Well, here's what I like. If you wanted to prove this, right, even though it was back in the day, so then she says it. Okay, obviously you were upset. How many friends did you tell? Who are they? What's their names?
Right.
Let's go investigate them.
Right.
Let's go meet her, meet him, meet them. And then you have 10 or 15 people that say, yeah, I heard it. Or, yeah, she said she. Now, maybe we got some. But unless you can do that, it's just.
I don't believe it.
It's just alleged.
I don't believe it. And what a horrible thing if it's not true to allege. And I also look at J.J. Redick's past, never really getting in trouble with the law. Tons of teammates that happen to be black. Tons of friends.
One of the players in the draft, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, mid-round, first-rounder. He was a top pick, but then this year he was accused by a female being attacked at a bar in Kansas, by the way.
Yep.
And he denied it. He went to trial. He went on the stand and told his story, and he was exonerated. You're innocent. It was a false claim, but he had to go through all that, which probably cost him millions of dollars.
And let me tell you something: a false claim, whether it's claiming that somebody called you the N-word or even worse, sexual assault. If you're making up a claim like that, I think the punishment should be just as bad as if it was true.
Yes.
That's my personal opinion. It's one of the worst things you could do,
Yep.
Mo.
And you can't take it back.
Yeah.
Genie out of the bottle.
Yeah. One minute left to go here. Who won the NBA championship again? I forgot.
The Bucks. It was rigged.
It was rigged. I did say the Celtics were going to get it. I did say.
And I think they got a great shot at it. I think the Knicks are getting better. The problem is, I told you, didn't I tell you? Porzingis is hurt.
Yeah, his
and
career
he's not going to
is
start
injured.
this season.
Yeah.
And with that kind of injury, it's really unusual.
Could come back.
I hope he could come back, but there's a possibility he can't.
Agree. Well, Mo, it's always a pleasure having you here. I have to plug my website, of course, because Mo got it wrong.
Infowars.com.
Yeah, definitely not Infowars. PushingTheLimits.live. Please check out my website,
PushingTheLimits.live.
That's right. There you go. You got it right. PushingTheLimits.live, where you can support what I do. If you like what I do, support what I do.
Do you have
check
4X
out
in that shirt, by the way?
4X? I don't think I do.
Oh, man.
You can check on the website. I don't
man.
know. You're welcome to buy
I like
one.
it.
Mo.
I like
Check it out. Check out the merchandise on there. You can donate and support what we do. We are independently owned. PushingTheLimits.live. I appreciate your support there. Boy, are we going to have a fun day tomorrow. Oh, yes, on a Friday.
And I haven't been here for a couple weeks. You have callers from all over the country. That's awesome.
It is very,
That's
very
so
cool.
Awesome.
MAGA callers, but apparently I only interview people that I agree with. According to someone.
Always. Yeah, you're just so one-sided.
Yeah, I'm just so one-sided.
You always have been.
Yeah, I so am. Anyway, Mo, thanks for being here. Hey, we got a debate to catch here in 4 hours. I'm looking forward to it. And then we are going to have all the post-debate coverage tomorrow on the show and, of course, your phone calls. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.